Basically, I've married with 2 kids, a beautiful wife, Anita, and Kimberly and Keenan, son and a daughter. I'm 25 years married, just in past July now.
Awesome.
So what I can say, it has been a bumpy ride, but enjoyable.
Yeah. if you didn't say it was bumpy, then I wouldn't believe the rest of this interview.
Yeah, and basically, work-wise, I've been with the Metro for the last 35 years now, 36 years. When I left school, I basically just landed into a job, and from then I stuck with it. I actually work for the Art Museum, Nelson Mandela Art Museum at the moment. Yeah, and I find it enjoyable because it's very rustic, very rustic. Metro is rustic.
There's no service delivery protest.
No service delivery, for me especially.
I think the one thing that I think sticks with most of us also, your skill of doing the artwork, the frames and all that sort of stuff. In my house, I mean, my family portraits are all things that you've done for us there, and those are, I think that's a skill that I don't think many people know.
That's probably true, yeah. I'm probably the only framer in the, on the Metro, from the Metro I should say, that does framing. And so, but there's a lot of other framers, commercial framers out there. But yeah, it's...
You do it for the museum?
Basically for the museum, yeah, do it for the museum.
And the fact that you did it for me was a sideline. So that is the Metro not paying you enough?
They're not paying, definitely there's not enough money there.
Goeg, the other thing is the word Goegs. I know Gregory is your name, but where did Goegs come from?
Oh, I don't know. South End, you used to pick up a nickname, and there's nicknames from Monty, Goegs.
Was there Monty also?
Monty,
nice.
So automatically a name like that sticks with you. And from then onwards, I mean, all my life, everybody just knows me as Goegs.
There's Goegs there.
Yeah.
And your parents, are they?
My mom is still alive. My father has passed on. My mom used to be a softball player. My father has always been in the soccer world. He's been chairman and he's always been a sportsman. My family background is sports orientated. So,
lovely.
So that is where my cousin Pat.
Pat
Knipp, yeah. He's also he used to play for Western Province hockey. Where he comes in again because his father was also very. He died at a very early age. But he was also an icon in himself. Apparently, was very good.
Yeah. And the flats, I know we stayed in the flats together. What about the flats in those early years were?
I think basically that's where we really started playing hockey. Because we used to come off from school and everybody used to congregate at the swings, and then that's it, or behind the flats, and then the game was on. We never used to make a special time or anything. We were all screaming and playing, you know, you're going to have to be there. You've got to just land up there.
Just, awesome days there. If you have to give us a bit of idea of when you started playing hockey, was there a person that said, Goegs, pick up a stick or come and play, or how did it all start with you?
When I think about it now, it started in South End. And when I say South End, I'm talking when I was 4 or 5 years old. My father's sister, daughter, she used to play, and she was also an icon. And remember, they had that long sticks, and we used to play outside in the street on this hard gravel. And I can remember running around there, and that's where I actually started. And I always used to believe that nobody can come past me.
And that is true.
And it's funny, it's always been in me to think that way. And through the years, I've always believed in that.
You know, you're mentioning something quite significant. My mother played hockey also, and for St. Peter's and EP and everything. And that is the one thing she said, now that you're mentioning it's resonating. She said, I always used to tell myself, nobody is coming past me. I don't care whether they're a Springbok and everything, no one's coming. And maybe that's a secret formula.
You've got to believe that.
You're one of the youngest players to make a senior men's EP team. What club did you start with? What was happening at that time? I know it's very far back, so you've got to think.
I know, my brain is very rusty. I lost a lot of good cells along the way. As far as I can remember, we started with Lakeside, and thanks to Sarigan Moodley, because he was the guy that used to pick us up in the flats. The late Neil Flanagan. Religiously every Sunday morning used to pick us up and take us down to the field. And if it wasn't through him, I suppose you could have been a guy that just was a fly-by-night, picked you up once and that was it, never knew about you. And he had one of those old Colts, and we used to squeeze, all these guys, about 4 to 6 guys used to squeeze into this thing and take us down to the hockey fields, the Galvin hockey fields, and then just play there. And just run around. And then from there, we were the first junior side. Lakeside sponsored us to go to Belmont. The first junior side to go to Cape Town to go watch the provincial game. And that was in 1974. 75, I made the provincial side, which was, for me, was probably my highlight.
Yeah. How old were you then?
I was 15 at that time.
15 in a men's A team.
Never played. I played 74. I started playing senior hockey. 72, 73, we were all juniors. By then, we always had to have a junior side. That was also a big thing in the hockey circles then. You had to have a junior side in order to play a senior afternoon game, for a senior afternoon game to take place.
And there wasn't like under 21s, under
Nothing
16s.
Like
You went from juniors.
Junior.
So you were a junior, and at 15 years old you went into seniors, and you made the EP provincial team.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's, you could be modest in your way of seeing things, but I don't think that has been ever repeated. I mean, hockey's moved on now with unification and all that sort of stuff, but I don't think that's ever been repeated.
No, I doubt it. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Actually, I should say I don't care if it's been repeated. that is because those years back then, who were the guys that were playing in the senior teams?
You had Sil, you had Nico Zievogel.
Yeah.
And when you look at bigs at Bremer Fredericks, Eddie Kingsman, and these were all senior guys to me.
And you were 15.
And I was 15, and they were all married and elderly, very elderly.
Yeah.
And it's I must say it was I won't say a revelation, but something to admire when I felt going onto the field. They made a first sub with me in the second half of that game when we were leading. No, they were leading 1-0, and then we came on. I came on and I distributed the ball to Mr. Searle, and he went through and we got a flick, and then Bremer put that flick in, and that's when I think we drew that game. As at Provincial, we drew that tournament. And that was the significance of that was the very first time, because all the years Western Province used to club us like 10-0, 11-0, 12-0.
Oh.
And I felt quite good about that, because I just felt I'd been part of this whole
the success of it. Yeah. I must mention to you that, for people who are watching the video and that, they would not understand with Kingsman, Siervogel, those guys, those were the manner.
Yeah.
It's you never just so to have come in there and created that dramatic change in the history of EP hockey as such, because the legacy for many years after that was that EP became the guys. And it took a 15-year-old to do that for us.
Well, I don't know, it's a team thing. Unfortunately, it's a team thing, so I can't take all the accolades on that. Yeah. But it's been a nice ride for that, regarding going through the whole thing.
Yeah, and you played juniors, you said Lakeside.
I played Lakeside Juniors,
And
and
then-
then I started in '75. I joined Alpha because then that was the young group on about town basically.
Yeah.
And from then onwards, my game just escalated
Yeah.
because we've been taking provincial tour, champ of champs, 5-a-sides, Treble Trophy, League Trophy, and it's been I must say, with hockey being there as a support, I really felt good about myself firstly. And because then we used to have crowds. I mean, we had major crowds on the Galway. I mean, the crowds itself was more than the soccer crowds, and that was something to say.
It's very interesting. I spoke to a soccer player a while back, and he said that the one problem they had with soccer was more people were polarizing to hockey.
Okay, yeah.
It was incredible. Why did you go play for Alpha? I mean, Alpha was a life-saving club that...
Yeah.
How did they basically come about then?
They, by chance, I landed up going with Mr. Accolades with life saving. They used to be Alpha Life Saving. I landed up going with him I joined the life saving club basically, and from there I landed with him, and he spoke, and then I met my cousins. They were all baby and all were involved, and they said, hey, why don't you come and join? We are young side in it, and eventually I said, I'm thinking about it, and then I decided, okay, let's go join them, because they were my group of friends basically.
So would I be right in saying that you were one of those founder members with Alpha?
With Alpha, it started in '72, unfortunately, because then, '72 they started, and ever since then onwards, when I joined them '75, it's been they've been recognized eventually as Alpha, the men's hockey, the league winners, the Tebra winners.
Yeah.
So I would say, Alpha has been really a stalwart in my life, basically. Yeah.
That's awesome. Listen, I have to bring this in now, school hockey, because I have a memory about playing against Galvin High, BD, full team, excited, you guys were 7, and then you clapped us like 6-0 or something. Do you recall anything about your Galvin hockey school days? Because your school was never organized with hockey,
never.
but you used to go play centre back, centre half, and forward.
Yeah, no, I was like a rechter Rottweiler all over. But school hockey has never really been an interest as such. But we always used to be, because unfortunately one of our school teachers, he used to play against us Cavaliers he used to play for Cavaliers, so he used to play against. So whenever we got together, he used to send us, let's get a hockey team together, a school hockey team, and from then it started. And then that is why we were like 7-8 guys. We never could get a full squad.
But you still win.
Yeah.
And who's this? Do you remember the guy's name?
Vernon Malgas. The late Vernon
He
Malgas.
played for Cavaliers.
He used to play for Cavaliers. Yeah.
Sure. Just about club hockey. Now, I the other day was sitting and going through all the names of teams and all that sort of things. I don't know if you recall Marlborough and Eureka and all of those teams. What about those days were different to what hockey is about today?
Okay. Yeah, I must say that hockey then was more of a family thing, and that's what I think made hockey more special also, because everybody used to come out, the families, the aunties, just for the afternoon out, and that was the special thing about hockey then. Now we don't. We have a premier side, they come, they play and they leave, never the same. So I just feel then hockey was to me it was a family thing, and it was so important to have family actually coming to watch you actually. I mean, my father, my mother, my aunties, and it was good. It was good to actually show them what you're capable of then.
It's something I think also remember is the family setup. You're mentioning that now, but there used to be the Knipps, the Dollies, the Townsends, the Malgases. There was always these kind of the Pullens, the clans of thing, and it wasn't because they were clans that were against each other. It was just that when one in the family got involved, everyone got involved, and it went. How do you think today's world, can we bring that back into Oh, hockey, do you think it's...
I think time has moved on actually. So I don't think we could, but I just believe that if we have more junior sides playing at grassroots level, and because at this point in time I just feel that the schools has taken that away, and if we have more junior hockey at the field, I think we'll probably regenerate or revive that family value again. Because then at this point in time, I've seen with St. Peter's, their families come down for their juniors and they're there. So if we have more of that, but now these girls play in a league, they don't play in a junior league, they play in the league, a second league, and these youngsters are playing against big mamas. So it's a problem for them. Yeah. It's not their age group basically, you see. And I think that's a big problem at the moment.
What would you see the significance of, if you have to weigh it, the enjoyment you have with club hockey, the enjoyment you have with provincial hockey?
Yeah.
Would you say you enjoy the one more than the other?
I think with provincial hockey it's more intense. I do feel there's more of an edge there. Going into each game, being sometimes only 4 games we play, being a round robin type of thing. So you've got to win. With hockey in the men's league, it's very different. You can always catch up because there's 2 rounds and that. So the intensity is not as much as when you play provincial, I think. But and it's always it's a big fight. It's a big fight in the field with Western Province, Border, Griquas. So it's a nice thing for us actually to be able to play provincial in that intense time.
Your provincial career, I know it goes over many years, but can you give us a couple of highlights, things like what was significant? You mentioned now about that first time that you played and that significant thing. Maybe 2 or 3 other milestones during your career as a player first, then I'll come to your other roles that you played in the sporting term.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is in Mitchell's Plain. We were playing against Border, Western Province, and we had to win that game in order to halve the tournament. And these guys were leading us 1-0. And we had a long corner. It was about probably 3-4 minutes in the game left. Up to this day now, Lazarus still can't believe that ball went through between the pole and his leg. He said, "You picked it out perfectly, Goeg." Yeah. That's what he said. And that to me was a highlight of my life also.
Yeah. I must say that I don't believe it was a fluke, because I recall coming down to the Galvin grounds and I saw you used to always practice. You might not have known, but I used to watch you like a hawk growing up. You used to put beacons next to the uprights and used to stand at the edge of the D and hit the ball into those angles there.
Yeah. Practice has been one of my beliefs. I believe that if you don't practice, you won't reap the benefits. And I always used to go down as a youngster down to the field. I used to run from halfway line with the ball into the circle and whack, and run back to the halfway line, hit it into the circle. And that, when I think back now, people probably thought I was bloody mad, to do something like that. But it was one of those things that it was for enjoyment. It wasn't a problem doing something like that, And as you say now, I used to practice. I used to take Ian Shovel, our goalkeeper, put him in a pose and say, "Listen, I'm going to push it in that corner. You must try and stop it. You know where is it going." And I used to try and beat him on pace, basically. And that was our, and it was always that not camaraderie, the fight between goalkeeper and forward. Because I used to believe that if you hit it, you aim for a corner, you must put it in that corner. And it was one of those things. And I must say, I scored some nice goals in my time. I can't remember most of them. But I scored quite a few. From short corners, me and Richie Dolly, we were the menace of many a team and many a provincial team also.
Yeah. You know what, the one thing when I coach any team, I mean, your name, you can ask any team that I coach, your name comes up all the time. And I said, I can count on my one hand the times I dispossessed Gugus. I tackled him and got the ball off him. And it's not because he beat me with a stick work, but whenever I used to get within 3 meters of Goeg's, he would distribute the ball. He would never spin 10 guys unless it was 30 seconds on the clock and he's outside the circle and he needs to score the goal to win it for the team. But you could never tackle him. He'd never spin you. He'd always get and distribute. Is that something that I'm just thinking up in my mind, or was that how you thought?
That's a ploy by me. I always believe that ball does the work. You don't need to take people on when you have a outlet somewhere, either left or right or back. That's how I used to play hockey. My distribution was very important. I used to read up on it. A lot of literature I used to read on as a midfielder. I used to read up on it, thinking now what's the best way, how you can go about things. And then hockey books was hard to come by. So when I got something, I used to read up, just to find out what, as a centre of, what is his role in the game, And from the Indians, from the Dutch, from the English, I used to try and, as much as I can, try to pick up what, especially the big boys in that field, in that position.
Yeah. Do you have someone that like kind of,
My role model at the beginning of my life, where hockey was concerned, was Terry Allison. He was a super centre. He was enthusiastic. He was there to play the game, and he used to do things very similar to what I tried to emulate. Play the ball first time, not try and take on. And I used to always say, steal with the eye. And the one thing that I always remember is when defenders come at him and the ball is rolling, and all of a sudden he stands tight with the stick and the ball, and those poor guys fall over his stick, basically overruns up the ball and stick. And that I found, from then on, I tried emulating that, and it worked.
I know during the era that we played, there wasn't the SA teams we could make. There was the SACOS teams as such that we could make and succeed in. Was there any sort of highlight for you making a team of that nature, or did it give you any satisfaction?
Honestly, no. Satisfaction was with SACOS, funny enough. I felt I belonged with SACOS in a sense. And playing for the unified teams didn't give me because people out there only knew afterwards, after we started playing with them, who Greg Knipp was. You understand? So for me it wasn't satisfaction. If I walked down to the Galvin, now everybody would say, I was a Googs. And for me it was nice knowing they know who I am and I know who they are, you see. And that all has come through my lifespan with hockey at the Galvin, through SACOS, basically. I can remember Miley Jump going over to go play with, and I almost say I was instrumental in that. Playing for, I think he played for Pirates then. He went to play for Pirates. We were sitting on the stoop, the flats, and I said to him, Miley, leave it, let's not go over, because he wanted me to go 2 hours to go play, and these guys were offering him money and everything to us. I said, no, Miles, rather leave it. I'm happy where I am, because I'm not the person that looking for stardom or anything like that. For me, I've achieved what I've not really achieved then, but I was satisfied with what I had. And then he said, no, Googs, he must go. So I said, okay, Miles, you go, but we'll see how it goes. And it's never been the same, our relationship, me and Miley, because he used to sleep every Saturday and Friday night at my place, and then we used to play Sunday morning together. So it's never been really a thing for me to actually venture to the white side until amalgamation came in, unification came in. Then we decided, now, all right, let's see what's it like. But then, even then, when we played Alpha, played Old Grey, we showed them what we were made of, which was quite nice actually, to see what caliber of players they have. I think captaining the EP team was a big thing actually, which I did a few times. Keith Arnolds was my other assistant sometimes. Sometimes he used to be the captain, I used to be the captain. But from there, the coaching side of it, we never used to have a coach. We used to do our own coaching, basically. very young, we used to do our coaching, and it's what you knew and then implemented with the guys. The training sessions we had also, but it was one of those things where you applied yourself to what the team needed basically. Coaching for the EP girls, I coached the EP girls. That was also a nice thing when we went to Bloem, and I think that was East London, the other side, with Belinda and old Nita was in the side, Sylvie was in the side, and all these ladies were older than me, and I felt quite intimidated actually coaching them, you know. But it turned out right. It turned out right, even though we got clapped a couple of times, big scores, but it was quite nice.
Now as a coach, we maybe just have to reflect on the time when you have to coach a team and they practice in the evenings at the Galvin. What was it like there? Did you have some nice floodlights?
Oh, no. We had torches. We used to have a torch.
What was it like practicing there?
Nah, it was exciting. We may do what we had, and that was the interesting part about it. We had 3 lights, 3 poles distributed on one big field basically, and then that is the light we had shining onto this field, and it was dark. Basically, it wasn't proper to play actually on fields like that in that light actually, but it was a place to go to release your frustrations, whatever, and exercise. And that was a big thing, because those games it was hot, because the practice games were worse than the normal league games we play, because everybody want to show what you're made of. But it's what we have now. I mean, we've got now a fantastic astroturf at the Galvin, and it's brilliantly lit up and everything. So we can't compare the two basically. Playing on grass and playing on astro. That's a big difference, very big difference.
And the accolades now, I'm probably aware of one sort of big significant accolade in your life as far as awards and things go.
My very big accolade, I'm not sure who the guy was that was instrumental in pushing. But I've got a feeling it must have been Brian Ebert, because he spoke to me about it. Greg, will you be interested? The accolade I received was for sportsman. Received a presidential award for sportsman. I think it was sportsman.
So that Mbeki?
Mbeki was president then. And to go on to the stage and shake the president's hands was something. For some people it might feel nothing, but when you see the enormity of it, it's quite something actually. When you almost feel intimidated, you know, that you're touching the president's hand. But it was something that I'm glad I went, because I was hunning about going, but eventually I decided, no, let's just do it, you know. And Brian actually said, Greg, it's a lifetime achievement. Go for it. It's a once-off thing, you know. You won't get this again. Alistair Coetzee was with me. We were sitting at the same table also, and we were just joking about all these the awards, and every presidential award, you're touching the president's hand. Now Alistair's a big coach at the Western Province now, so, and SO coach. So it's been good.
It's more important to be a good person than to be a talented sports person, because your talent is going to fade, but being a good person. And I used you as the example. I said Gugus would be the most brilliant player that I know, and still the nicest guy and a gentleman on the field.
I must say I'm really been blessed by the Lord for giving me these genes basically. For being so humble in many ways. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I see my life as a hockey player, I've always used to try and be the pacifier on the field. Hey, cool it, guys, and, you know, let's enjoy the game. That's all. And that's what I always try and preach to the guys. You go out there to enjoy the game. Play hard, but enjoy it. Because I just feel that it's a once-off. It's one game you're going to play. Tomorrow or next week you're going to play another game. Enjoy this game now. Tomorrow you might not be here. You might be dead tomorrow. So enjoy it now. So that's how I try to, even when I coach other teams also, I try to put that forward to them. You got to go there, enjoy. And once you start enjoying the game, I think then maybe you probably play better and you'll be more relaxed also. But yeah, it's I don't know how I can put it. It's just that I think it's my nature to be like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's fortunately, I should say.
Something that I think a lot of people don't also know about you is that hockey isn't the only thing you are skilled at.
Yeah.
What other... Okay,
Yeah.
golf you can only mention last in the list. But what other sports have you played at?
I played baseball, and then baseball was also a big thing actually in our community, and I achieved at the same SACOS tournament. I achieved the baseball, SA baseball, and also the hockey. So those were the two. It was a few of us. It was myself and Arnold's, I think, were the only two people that achieved hockey and baseball in two codes basically, and that was something also quite nice. Unfortunate when we unified, I just fell away actually because it wasn't the same again.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't really not the same. But baseball was also one of my big sport that I can say now I really enjoy.
Yeah. And if you look now, I mean you're busy playing hockey now for the Legends, and you guys are playing. And I know the Legends are often referred to as, you know, we'd have the senior players, the Premier Oak saying, look at the Legends, they are doing the things correctly. What would you say that the Legends, and we talk about the Legends, we talk about the old school boys that are still playing maybe half the pace of everyone. But what do you think it is about that team, not only this Legends, but all the guys of that era that are playing? What is it that they are doing that makes the youngsters see something different?
I think it's just the composure on the ball firstly. It almost seems as if we have too much time on the ball, and that is why we can actually do what we do. And most of all, because we're not at a healthy state. When I say healthy, we can't run like we used to in 20 years ago. That's probably why I think that is why we actually we do the rolling ball. We just throw the ball. We just keep the ball moving. And I think that's a big plus. And if our youngsters can learn, because what's happening now, our youngsters feel they've got the stick and the skill, why can't they do it? And many times they get robbed of the ball, where they can make a simple pass and then receive it again, but no, they want to take somebody on because they feel they've got the skill, you see. And for me, I just feel what I feel is just that if you play a simple ball, it'll make the game much more easier.
Yeah,
definitely. Definitely.
And your life going forward now, and again I have to caution you from speaking about too much golf. No, you can actually share it, but no. Just how you see, just generally with...
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to avoid stop playing. At this point I'm still running around on the park, but as to a minimum, because the legs now and the Achilles and the knees, all of that doesn't come. They're taking strain at the moment, and I'm getting a lot of back chat from people older than me saying, hey, Goeg, you must give up this game. You'll die on that field. But it's something for me that if I stop, I feel that there's nothing else to do, you know, exercise-wise. And I feel that if you keep on running, if you don't need to do the same piece, even though when you're on that field, you want to do more than your norm, basically. So it's important that I keep going. I feel I just need to keep going where that is concerned. The other thing that helps me a lot now, I'm playing golf at the moment, so I do a lot of walking on the course also, so that helps me also. But my belief is you got to keep fit. In order to sustain your longevity, it's important that I feel that we should actually do some exercise in order to, you know, to keep the body stimulant going. And that's how I see things.
I mean, I must say, after many years, you're looking good. You're taking care of yourself. That's why I asked that question.
It's actually my wife. Actually.
Is there someone that you would like to pay tribute to in the hockey circles?
I think Casey March, definitely, for the way he handled. I mean, I played against Casey March years ago. He's been my chairman or president for the last, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years. So for me, I think Casey has definitely been a stalwart in my life, actually, going forward. And he's always been there for support. And to this day, even we always talk about Casey, how he sang, and the things he done. And for me, I think it's definitely I think Casey has always been not a role model, but somebody that you can look up to and say, yeah, this one was great, actually.
Yeah.
He
played a significant role in all our lives. 5 Stewards Street, where the bus used to leave from on tournaments.
That's true, yeah.
Something that people don't know about you that you...
Oh yeah, I'm an open book, unfortunately. You see me, this is what you get, actually. Everybody knows because I blabber everything out anyway, so it's the same.
So there's no secrets about you?
There's no secrets, hidden agendas or anything.
It's because this interview is sponsored by the Son, and I have to get some material on you.
Yeah. I can't really think of anything that I can say that. I just believe that you've got to work to achieve something. You've got to work hard at it. That's my thing out there for those kids. You've got to work double, and the older you get, you've got to work triple every time.
Yeah.
So because there's a new generation coming up, and they also want to take stock or take hold of your position or your drive, I would say. Yeah. In the hockey fraternity. So you've got to be one up on them all the time. So if you train hard, I think you will reap the benefits.
Good, thanks, Stack. Appreciate it. It's actually been, probably the past 40 minutes have actually been very interesting about just getting to know quite a bit about you, about things in your life. I know we've basically scraped the surface with all of this. I want to ask you my last secret question, because I used to go over to your place before we go down to practice, and I used to eat a lot of peanut butter sandwiches and drink a lot of milk, because you ate peanut butter sandwiches and drank milk. I don't know if you just did it one day and that was just by the way, and I thought that was going to make me successful. Did it help?
Yeah, it did help, yeah. Yeah, no, that was the secret.
Was that the secret?
Milk, calcium, yeah, definitely.
And peanut butter sandwiches.
That was the big thing, yeah.
Because you can't. I had to ask you that because I built my whole life on that.
Yeah, but you also are well-tuned sportsman also.
So it was peanut butter and milk.
Milk, yeah, that's a big thing, yeah.
Cooks is awesome. I'm excited to have this, and this is on Heritage Day, which is very significant. Like I said, and I want to put it on record that, like Terry Allison was your icon, you've been my icon, you've been an integral part of me actually running my hockey career, because I think what stimulated me the most was that I could go down to the hockey field as a junior, and then eventually when I became seniors, is to actually see somebody that you could study, you could learn from, and my attitude on the field, the way I wanted to play was all over there. And I think that is something that I would love to see coming back in, is that we have more Guguses and that's out there that the kids could look at and say, now that's the example I want to follow. And I do want to pay honor to you to say that has been a crucial part of not only my hockey career, but I think so many guys' hockey career. And still today you'll hear everyone talking about those days, the days in Gugus and the boys that were around there. And I have to say that it did make an impact, and I'm probably sure you're going to hear from other interviews that we do, you'll hear that impact that carries through there. So, I think like Paul says, when he laid his head down one day and he said, I think I've finished the race and done well. I don't need you to finish the race now.
Absolutely.
But I think that impact that you've done, and the reason I'm putting it on tape here now is just so that you can also appreciate the fact that your legacy that you've left there has left an incredible impact. Where I think is important is that generation between where you were playing and not even the young generation today, but even a previous one, that legacy hasn't carried through. And I just feel that society and hockey players have missed out onto that. And hopefully in some small way we can pass it down to those guys. So thanks for your time, and I know this is totally out of your comfort
no,
zone.
it's not my comfort zone. It's-
But I think now we've got it on record, and I think it's there for future. And also thanks to Nita, who
has been
who's been your
stalwart.
support.
Stalwart, yeah.
So thanks, Googs, man, and appreciate it. Now we can have a cup of coffee.
Sure, thank you.
Just